So the power steering fluid reservoir is located right here on the passenger fender. So we're going to take the cap off and I'm going to extract the fluid and put it into a drain pan so that we don't make too much of a mess. Trying to find any. No, none left. So you can see this clamp is a one-time use, so we're going to discard it and replace it when we take the hose off. Well, I'm just going to get a pair of cutters and cut this off or try to spread it enough so that we can. I don't want to damage the hose because I'm not replacing the hose. Little screwdriver sometimes works also. There you go. There we go. Discard that, and then we can take that hose right off. Get a little twist. Set it aside. I'm going to disconnect the coolant overflow hose right here with a flathead screwdriver. So you can get that clamp off, back that hose off. And then we have two connections on the bottom, one for the reservoir power steering and one for the coolant. You can access them this way. We also have the sensor. So the sensor looks like it's got a little tab on it. So if you can get both hands in there, hope so. If not, one, I push down with a screwdriver to push that tab. Now I disconnected the coolant level sensor. I can lift this reservoir right up. You can see the coolant reservoir hose and the power steering hose. Now, I've got a catch basin down below to catch any residual coolant or power steering fluid. I also have some absorbent pads. Make sure you have your ground cover protected from the oils. Flathead screwdriver. I'm going to disconnect this hose that goes to the power steering pump itself from the reservoir. Gonna have to give it a good twist. Okay. Wow. If you have to try to separate this hose, try not to damage the actual hose. Try to get down and separate it from the plastic. Looks like it's been on there. Could be original. Lovely. There we go. Now I'm going to undo the coolant. So now I've got to try to, once again, pry the hose off this without damaging the hose. Sometimes you just have to Get a little air in there. Here we go. So the coolant level sensor is located on the bottom of the reservoir, and to remove it, I like to use a pair of needle nose pliers. Mine have a little curve to it. It doesn't matter. As long as you have equal pressure on both sides, you're going to just give it a tug and lift up, just like that. It's quite simple, actually. And there's the old sensor. So now that I have the coolant reservoir and power steering reservoir out, I can access the bottom part. See the V shape right in here? These two things, I have to try to push it this way. Wouldn't work in the car, so I'm just going to take my little screwdriver, pry it in that tab there, and have it hold in there. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to give it a little push like that. See, that was a little difficult to do in the car. So you're going to take the new sensor and take the bottom of your reservoir and just line it up and push it right in until it clicks. So now we're going to connect the power steering reservoir to the coolant reservoir. You can see how it has these angled lines and it's a V shape, and you've got the connectors and they slide right in pretty much like this. So we're going to take the lower coolant hose and connect that right like this. Get that hose all the way in. See it bottom right out. And you want access to this clamp, so angle it so that you can get access later on. You can see that. I'll just tighten that right up. I'm going to put that power steering hose, reservoir hose, right on. Make sure it goes all the way up. Take the clamp. And tighten that up. Now you can get the level sensor connector. See where it's located right there. Line those tabs up. There we go. And then push it till it clicks. So you have 3 tabs. You have 1 right there, 2 and 3, and they're going to go in the guided spots for them. So guide that bottom one down, 2 top one, push. Now they're in firmly. I'm going to connect that overflow hose to that coolant tank. Push that clamp on. Make sure it goes all the way to the back. Perfect. Then tighten that clamp down. And the only thing we have left is the power steering hose on the top here. So the hose clamp size for the top reservoir clamp size would be 7/32 to 5/8. And then bring it up to that top. If you have to loosen the clamp up a little bit, do so. Get that hose to go all the way on. I'll snug it up. So make sure you look up your manufacturer specification for what type of coolant. We're going to fill that reservoir and top it right off. Bring it right up to the full line. That's where it says hot or cold. So now you're going to take the cap, let it settle flush, and then turn it clockwise. Don't force it. It could be cross-threading if you're forcing it. So that went on really smooth. bottom it out. So now we're going to fill our power steering fluid. So make sure you look in the manual for what approved power steering fluid for this vehicle. And I'm going to pour it in. Don't forget it drained out, so you're going to have to fill that whole reservoir up to a decent level, not to the top, because power steering fluid is technically hydraulic. It does expand as it gets hot, and that's why the cap has a stick on it with different levels. And you'll see the cap say hot, add, cold. So it should be right here, right now. I'm going to line these two tabs up and place it down. Turn it down a little and bring it back up. And we are perfect because it's cold, it's not running. That's the exact place I want that level.